No, no, protested Jagan. I was with you all the time and never spoke to anyone except to say goodbye. Jagan say, just to refute the brother's accusation. Brother asked, like, have you cheapened yourself by speaking to anyone from the girls' party? And Jagan vehemently says, like, no, no, no. Protested Jagan says, he firmly, Jagan says, no. I was with you, brother, right? Didn't you say I was with you all the time and never spoke to anyone except to say goodbye? When only the time came to just bid goodbye, bid farewell, I said goodbye. Other than that, not a single word came out from my mouth, and just I spoke with anyone from the girls' party. No, no. Jagan says. When he had to leave, at least his feet had tarried and moved at a snail's pace in hope that the girl would peep out of the doorway. So what happened here is when he had to leave suddenly. I mean, like the can you remember that assembly was just suddenly dissolved? It was suddenly dismissed, right? So they have to leave. But when the assembly is over, when he had to leave the house, at least his feet had tarried. Tarried, underline, it's a hard word for you. Write down the meaning. Be about, linger, or kind of loiter is called tarried. In other words, the idea is he didn't rush. He kind of, his feet tarried. His feet slowly kind of left the place because he wanted to stay there. He wished he could stay more. He wished he could get another sight of Ambika. So he didn't go fast. He kind of tarried. His feet tarried. His feet kind of lingered, loitered there, and moved at a snail's pace. I mean, like just like a snail's speed, snail's pace, uh, in the hope that the girl would peep out of the doorway. He was wishing that Ambika would just peep from the door and give him a second glance, at least to prove that she loved him and conveyed by a lightning look. He was wishing that there will be some, perhaps, right? He was wishing Ambika would just give him a glance, just look out of the door, and he is anticipating, he was wishing for this moment, at least to prove that she loved him and conveyed by a lightning look. He loved that lightning look, that kind of agitating look. He was waiting for another um, look. He wanted to somehow assure her that he would marry her and that he was not in least prejudiced by her harmonium music. I mean, like, Jagan wanted to give the impression that I like you, I will marry you. Doesn't matter that you messed up with the harmonium and your singing is kind of shitty, your singing is kind of not up to the standards, but doesn't matter your singing talents. I like you. Jagan wanted to say that to Ambika, right? But Ambika is not to be seen here, right? That's the problem. Prejudiced by harmony music, and in his excited state of mind, it seemed to him a matter of the utmost urgency to convey to her his message. And if she really cared for him, she would show some slight sign at parting. So Jagan was wishing, like, if Ambika felt the same thing inside her that I feel for Ambika, she would just glance from the door and give him a look, right? And so that he know that's a sign. That's a sign she too like him. He wanted that sign. He wanted that kind of acknowledgement, a kind of epiphany, right? Sudden realization that she also likes him, but it didn't happen. Those things happen, right? Be honest. You also sometimes glare at girls, right? At your age, natural. And you also wish that she returns your looks. If she returns your looks, right? You got the idea, right? There's a sign is there, kind of a, she also appreciates, right? Now don't be a radical and don't try those things, right? Coming back to the text, uh, sign at parting. So she was wishing, like Jagan was wishing, she would look peep. He had never expected that such factors as train times and the poor sight of bullocks would tear him away from his beloved's aura so unceremoniously. In other words, I mean, like, Jagan was sad and he was worried. He didn't thought that train times, train schedules, because these bullocks, right? Stupid bullocks can't see the night. They don't have this night vision, right? And they were kind of blind at the night. They were poor eyesight, and all these things just cut short this ceremony so soon was kind of unacceptable for Jagan. Right? Jagan wished he could linger, he could tarry there a little longer, so things would be much satisfied for him, right? So beloved's aura. This beloved means Ambiga's aura means this shining kind of, you know, the light, the radiation, aura. Raswalal, right? Aura. So unceremoniously, it was just cut off from him, very unceremoniously, very soon, without any even notice. The meeting was dismissed. That's not very appealing to Jagan. That's what we find here. On the train journey, he remained brooding. He was troubled by the feeling that he had missed the chance somehow to say farewell to his beloved. And in the train, Jagan feels very sad. He felt like I couldn't say a proper goodbye to the girl, and that kind of he was in a thinking mode, he was in a brooding mode. The thought of her was extremely comforting. Thinking about the girl itself is a nice, comforting feeling for Jagan. Thinking, kind of having visual imagery, mental imagery, maybe visual imagery, auditory imagery, right? Uh, was very comforting, means very satisfying thinking about the situation. Soothing and also quiet way thrilling. It was thrilling. So the poor guy on the train, was thinking about this whole situation, right? His eyes meeting Ambiga's eyes, and it was a very nice, thrilling kind of a memory. His brother, now having no policing to do, was asleep and his seat. But brother is sleeping because now the purpose is over, right? He doesn't have to keep a watching eye on Jagan. The meeting is over. Now no policing to do. Unless it's like police, right? Policing means that's the thing. Police here, always watching for someone to do the wrong thing, to be captured. So now it's over. The brother is asleep in his seat, leaving Jagan free to go back to the village in his thoughts and roam unfettered. Jagan in his mind traveled to Kuppam village again, and there's no one to stop him in his mind. Unfettered, write down if it's a hard word, and not bound by shackles or chains. And that's right. Fetters are kind of shackles, right? You know the difference between shackles and handcuffs. In cuffs, you put normally to the hand. Fetters are normally like shackles, right? They are like limit your movement. In elephants, you see the shackles and things, right? So unfettered means now he can roam without being uh, shackled, unfettered. Thinking it over, Jagan felt charmed by every bit of the expedition. Jagan enjoyed the drive. Jagan enjoyed this journey from the very beginning, it seems. This is a bit of expedition. Expedition is it's a kind of a journey full of adventure. It's called expedition. Uh, their house was nice and cozy. The girl's house is nice and cozy. Comfortable, cozy is comfortable. Their halls smelled beautifully of incense, which somehow blended successfully with the cow dung smell of their cattle shed. And for Jagan, even the smell, the fragrance, the incense is very appealing. And that was kind of a mixed with the cow dung smell, the cow's shed, the cow's dung, and this incense has mixed. And for us, it may be a little uncomfortable, right? Hanunkurui Gomai Sundai Dekaikata Mixunama. Was it appealing to you? I don't think it's appealing to me, but it's very appealing to Jagan. It shows like how infatuated Jagan is, right? Jagan has gone to such an extent, right? Everything is beautiful about this situation. Everything is romantic about this situation, right? Even the smell is so appealing to Jagan. Doesn't matter, right? Uh, Cattle shed and successful with cow dung smell in the cattle shed. The harmonium was out of tune. harmonium was not in tune, right? If a music instrument is not in tune, just try to play song. What happens? It's so irritating. It's just so repelling. It's not appealing at all. It's not appealing at all. Imagine you are trying to play a song in the guitar, which is the strings are not in tune. It is something very horrible thing, right? It's a horrible sound you're going to produce, not music. It's noise. It's not music. But anyway, but it would not be proper to judge her music from it. Jagan says like, no, 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 that's wrong. Just to judge her from that harmonium playing, her music abilities are not to be judged. Again, another thing, right? In other words, he don't see defects at all. He don't see the small mistakes at all. These are out of the equation. He sees the perfect picture. He's so fascinated. For this perfect picture, these small mistakes, small mishaps are um, not important at all. They are excluded. Right? They automatically fall from that perfect picture. That's what we have to understand here as readers. Judge her music from it. Her voice was gruff. Gruff means kind of a brusque and surely forbidding, right? I mean, like some ladies doesn't have this appealing voice sometimes, right? Uh, Pavitra Vanyarachi කතා කරනකොට දැක් අහලා ඇතිනේ. ඒක ලස්සන සුමුදු සුකොමල කාන්තා කටහඬ චන්ද්‍රිකා බණ්ඩාරනායක කුමාරතුංග වැතිනේ කතා කරනකොට අහලා ඇතිනේ කටහඬනේ. ලස්සනයි ඒක. Just like it's like gruff noise, right? It's a kind of rough, kind of raucous noise. Her voice was gruff because she had to adjust it to that horrid instrument. And Jagan thinks like her voice is rough because she had to sing to that out of tune music instrument. Maybe that's the reason she sounded a little rough. Even that is not important to Jagan at this moment. Actually, her voice is a little rough. It's a gruff voice she has, right? It's not something fault about the harmonium or the music. It's a natural voice. But even that is not an issue for Jagan at this moment. He thinks it's a mistake of the harmony. Right? Was gruff because he had to adjust her horrid instrument, means horrible harmony. He was sure that she really had a sweet voice to suit her face. He was very sure Ambika has a nice face. I mean, like, of course, and her voice should be very sweet as well. Right? That suits her face. Then he too fell asleep during the rest of the journey. I mean, like, after all this thinking, after all this traveling back to the Kupkam village in his own mind, right? His mind travels. Then he also felt tired in the train and he fell asleep. They had got off and changed into another train at some junction. It's a transit. They had to get out of that train and just move on to another train at a certain junction. And they arrived at Malgudi station early in that morning. So the journey was long. Not like our journeys. I told you there are sometimes the distance is like between one village and one town and another town, maybe stretched to 1,000 kilometers. It's not just like traveling from here to Jaffna, from Kalampur to Jaffna. It's just lesser than 400 kilometers, 475 kilometers. From the top part to the bottom part of Sri Lanka, if you draw a straight line. That's how small we are as a country. Sometimes in this India, Indian peninsula is somewhere around can easily fit 60 or 70 Sri Lankas inside India itself. Just like Jupiter can swallow like 1,500 Earths inside its massive size, right? It can easily swallow such amount. So the same way, right? When we compare the distances, that's it. So they have to travel such a distance early in the morning. His brother hailed the Jukta. Once they get down to travel to Malgudi, brother hailed means put their arm and signaled, beaconed, kind of stopped a Jukta. Haggle with the man. Haggle, underline haggle if you don't know. Haggle with the man means wrangle, chaffer, or piece of terms. Okay, you don't understand it. Haggle means you bargain, you cheapen the price. Oh, it's too expensive. Just we'll go for this amount. Something that your mothers are very good at doing in the tri shows, right? When the tri show man says you want to travel in a tuk tuk, the tuk tuk guy says this is the price. I think in the nona 500 day. Ooh, too much, too much. We'll give you 350. We'll give you 350. That's it. That's it. Not a cent more than that, right? That's haggling, right? You got the idea. So this brother is haggling with the man, and they started out for their ancient home at Lowly Extension, and they traveled to their house at the Lowly Extension. Milkmen were out with their cows in the morning now. It's the morning. So you see the morning sight. There are milkmen with their cows. A few cyclists were on the move in the morning to reach the single textile mill of the town by the time its doors should be open. So some textile workers, right, just traveling the cycles, uh, textile mill, just as if in the mornings that the in our case the garments are opening, so the girls are just going to the work, right? That can be a morning sight as well. So imagine that thing in this post-colonial India. Some few people in the cycles, they are going to work, cycling to the textile mill of the town by the time its doors should be open, except for this city was still asleep. Other than that, normally still at this time of the morning, the city is still asleep, right? That's the idea. When the brothers arrived home, now they came home, Jagan and brother, elder brother. Their mother was sprinkling water on the front doorstep and decorating it with flour. So Jagan's mother is a housewife. So these are the duties of a housewife normally. Just the sprinkling water and front doorstep and decorating it with flour. While his brother was still arguing with the Jukta man who was demanding 2 annas more than the agreed fare. So Jagan could see, right, the brother is still having argument. The Jukta man is asking 2 annas more, something more. It's like not sufficient. So the brother is arguing with him. Jagan could see those things. 2 annas more than the agreed fare. Jagan picked up his little bag and passed into the house. Jagan took his bag and went to the house. Letting the brother argue, mother do her work, Jagan went to the room, to the house. His mother just smiled at him but asked no questions. Mother smiled, didn't ask questions. So isn't that strange? I mean, like, how was the journey? How was the girl? Nothing was asked. As if nothing is important. As if he's like just a usual kind of errand, right? Nothing. No one seems to be excited about anything. Or just ask him. His father was drawing water from the well in the backyard. Father was doing some other work as well. He's drawing water from the backyard. There was a well, the family well. He's drawing water from it. He glanced at Jagan and went on with his work. He looked at Jagan and just, did his work. He didn't ask questions. No one asked anything. His sister was circumambulating. Underline, circumambulating should be a hard word for you. It means like walk around something, circumambulating, ambulating, perambulating, circumambulating, traveling, just walking, same thing. Ambulance. How do you get the word ambulance? Ambulance means traveling, right? So here is circumambulating means walk around. So his sister was walking around the sacred Tulsi plant in the central yard and grinning at him mischievously, while her lips were muttering prayers. The girl was circumambulating me, walk around, kind of a, she's doing some kind of ritual, it seems. The sacred Tulsi plant and central yard and grinning, and she was like, muttering some prayers, saying prayers, just walking around this Tulsi plant. And so Jagan then gave a grin, gave a kind of a sinister laugh at Jagan mischievously in a kind of a what you call this kind of a naughty way, right? Mischievously, but naughty and things are not the same when we used it in a different context. Naughty doesn't mean mischievous when it's used out of this, out of our country, right? It means something horribly bad is called naughty, or nasty means something like that. So here it's like mischievous, the kind of childish kind of a innocent mischief. With her lips were muttering prayers. Jagan retired to his room. Jagan went to his room, asking himself, he's asking this question, right? Is no one interested in my opinion of the girl? No one want to ask? Father, mother, sister? Isn't no one actually interested to know my thoughts about the girl? Whether I like the girl or not, right? No one is prepared to inquire whether I like her or not. ගැල්ලා මේ ලස්සනයිද පුතේ පුතා කැමතිද? එහෙම අහන්න එකෙක් නෑ. Right? Not. Does it mean they are all opposed to the idea? So Jagan is little tense now. Does it mean that mother, father, no one likes this to happen? Is the idea? Are they against this? Nor did his brother pause to enlighten anyone. Even the brother didn't stop to speak to anyone, mother or father. Nothing of that sort happened. Brother also silent, unless Jagan could hear if they are talking with the mother or father, some kind of a idea he could get, some kind of acknowledgement he could get. Nothing of that sort happened. But proceeded to the backyard in order to help his father at the well. So what the brother did? Go and help the father, pulling that water and just doing whatever he was doing. That's it. That's all. But somehow the information leaked out and his sister was the first to come to his room when he was about to leave for the college. But anyway, someday the secrets has to surface to the top, right? You can't hide things forever. If it's going to happen, Jagan has to know it. Because ultimately Jagan is the one who's going to get married. So the information, that information leaked out, came out unexpectedly through the sister. The sister is the information carrier, just like the postman, right? Or what you call this DHL or FedEx, right? Carries the parcels or carries the information here. Was the first to come to his room, came to Jagan's room, and when he was getting ready to go to the college, right? He was doing his degree as well at this time. Her eyes were glittering with mischief. The girl looked kind of mischievous. Hi. The girl says, right, to Jagan. Hi. Kind of provoking, just like put right? That's the thing. She cried and clicked her tongue provocatively. Clicked her tongue. Hi. Something like that. Clicked her tongue provocatively. I mean, like, just provoking means just agitating, just kind of upsetting, kind of nerve-wracking Jagan, right? Provocatively. Someone is getting married soon, says the girl, right? Someone is getting married soon. The house was in great excitement. Now it's officially announced, it seems, right? The girl knew before Jagan. That's why she just imparted that knowledge to Jagan before he went to school, college. And now the house was in great excitement. His house is getting ready for this event. His brother's wife had summoned from her parents' house in order to help with the arrangements for the wedding. Brother is married at this time. So we know that now. Brother is married. Her wife is called into Jagan's house just to get ready with the marriage agreement. There are so many things to be done. So we need extra hand here. So that daughter-in-law was called into this house, Jagan's house, just to attend with the arrangements of the wedding. Stage by stage, the tempo increased. Tempo means the speed of something, right? The tempo is increased. The speed is now, the action is happening, is kind of in a fast pace. The tempo is increasing. His father wrote numerous postcards every day between noon and 3 and carried them to the railway station in order to make sure that they went by the mail train. The father was writing invitation cards for the wedding, it seems, right? We'll see. Postcards every day between noon and 3. From 12 to 3. 3 hours he's writing every day postcards and making sure they go by the train, by the mail train, right? He had many relatives whom he highly respected, elders without whose sanction he never proceeded in any matter. So he had some elder relatives, father's elders, right? Who he he anticipated, who he was expecting the sanction means approval. Yes, okay. In other words, sanction. He never proceeded in matter. If they said no, these matters couldn't be developed. So in that case, yes. Anyway, now father is sending these things to the father is sending these postcards to all his relatives. Never proceeded in any matter. Every day the postman's arrival was awaited by him at 10 o'clock. I mean, like every day the postman's arrival was awaited by him at 10 o'clock. In those days, a postcard cost only 3 paisa, but one could cram on its face and back as many hundred words as one pleased. So now, in old days, these postcards cost very low, very cheap, like 3 paisas, right? Uh, and you can write anything. I mean, like you can cram their surface. You have seen postcards, right? There's this stamp, and there's this place to write an address in one side, and the other side is totally black. So you can write. There's a lot of writing space. So in this case, space you can write anything. You can just cram means fill, totally fill something is called crammed, right? So you can cram the words here, whatever, 100 words even as one pleased in this space. After receiving the approval from his elders, now it seems that he's asking for the sanction, he's asking for the approval from these letters from his elders. And after this sanction came, that's why the postman comes and just delivers these letters. After receiving the approval from the elders, Jagan's father carried on several consultations with his wife in whispers in a far off corner of the second courtyard. So father and mother are having whispers now. They are having this kasukusu, kasukusu, kasukusu all around the house, courtyard, about these things. Jagan, as became a junior, was careful not to show too much personal interest in his marriage, but he was anxious to know what was going on. Now, Jagan also can't show that he's interested in this marriage, that he wants this girl particularly. He can't say it, right? As a junior, he has to succumb into what parents decide. It's ultimately a decision made by the parents. This is a proposal, it's arranged marriage. I told you, Jagan doesn't have voice here. He's like stuck, right? So, but he wanted to know what's going on in this marriage, in personal interest in his marriage, but he was anxious to know what was going on. He liked to know the current situation of this, how the proceedings are going on. He would have been snubbed if he had inquired. The problem is if Jagan asks those things like, how's the situation, Papa? Right? How's my situation? Like, how's this girl? How's the wedding going on? If he asks that thing, he will be snubbed, underlined, rebuffed, like repelled, rejected, right? It's like he will be snubbed means it's like they'll just rebuff him, right? Kind of snub him. So he can't ask. He had to depend upon his younger sister. So for the information, she has to depend on the young sister, that mischievous girl, right? Courier service, right? It's like the Reuters work say, right? Has to depend on the younger sister, who stood about casually while the elders talked and eavesdropped. When the elders are talking, this girl is going in the middle and casually doing some other work while her ears were eavesdropping. කන් දිගයි හොඳට දාගන්න මීටරේට මොනවද මේ වැඩිහිටියෝ කතා කරන්නේ. ඉතින් හොඳට රෙකෝඩ් කරගන්න, සේව් කරගන්න. සේව් කරලා ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කරලා ඇවිල්ලා දෙනවා print out එක Jagan, right? What happened? That's what she's doing. Eavesdropping means listening to others intrusively, not pretending. She's pretending doing some other work and nicely listening like what others saying. Elders are talking about Jagan and give the feedback to Jagan. Right? That's how she works. talked and eavesdropped and brought him news. She would seek him out and sat at her desk, apparently studying. She would seek him out. I mean, like sometimes sister suddenly comes when he was in his desk studying. These are his college days, right? He was studying for his degree. We'll find out what happens later. And at this time, the girl comes where Jagan is apparently studying, and then whisper to him, secretly says to Jagan, grand uncle has approved. Look, mama. Approved. Wedding, approved. Father is writing to the bride's people tomorrow. They are waiting for an auspicious time. Father is writing. I mean, like officially consenting, signing the agreement, and they are waiting for auspicious time. Is a good time just to meet. All this information comes from the sister. Auspicious. Father wants a dowry of 5,000 rupees. Father asked for a dowry, 5,000 rupees, which really worried Jagan. That thing worried Jagan. 5,000 rupees. His father asking 5,000 rupees from the girls' party. Wow, that upset Jagan. That really worried Jagan. Suppose the other refused. Think now. There's a problem now, right? What if the girl's father says, I can't give the 5,000 rupees? Then the marriage will be annulled, right? Marriage will be cancelled. Oh, that's not good for Jagan. Then what? They want to have the marriage celebrated in September. The girl says they are planning to have the marriage somewhere in September. Only 3 months. Now count this month, that month is September. So you have only like 3 months now for the wedding. Jagan felt scared at the thought of becoming a married man in 3 months. The idea, my God, I'm going to be a married man in 3 months. The idea itself scared Jagan. The idea itself like kind of a very scary thought for Jagan. Right? මම කසාද බඳපු මිනිහෙක් වෙන්න යනවාද මම සැමියෙක් වෙන්න යනවාද මාස 3කින්. Oh my God, right? He was scared with the thought, right? It was all right as long one dreamed of a girl and theoretically speculated about the marriage, but to become a positive and concrete husband, it was a terrifying reality. Oh, it's a very pleasurable thing to think about a girl, have good thoughts about a girl, appreciate her beauty, appreciate her voice, appreciate her figure, right? Things like that, how nice, how fascinating, right? Things like that, it's okay as long as you just visualize those things or mentally think about those things, because they are just like a mental thing. That's pleasurable. There's enjoyment in thinking itself, right? මිනිස්සෝය මේ මනෝගාන්නේ ඒ කියන්නේ හිත just like ඒ කියන්නේ වැඩි හිතන්නේ ඇයි? ඒකේ ජොලියක් තියෙනවා හිතන එකේ. පොඩි සොමියක් තියෙනවා, right? ඒකනේ හිතන්නේ. ඒකනේ මනෝගාන්නේ, right? But when it comes to reality, it's not like that. It shakes. It's like a ground shattering reality. Now things gonna be reality itself, right? So that threatens sometimes. That's kind of a scary reality. So that's what happens to Jagan here. Positive and concrete husband was terrifying reality for Jagan. Why do they want to have the marriage so soon, Jagan? He asked. Like Jagan now asked, like suddenly, why are they going to plan the marriage within 3 months? Why in such a hurry? He asked. Father's letter of approval went to Kuppam village. Now father has given approval for this wedding. Jagan's father's letter went to Kuppam village. Many letters passed between the parties. So Kuppam village is sending letters to Jagan's father. Jagan's father is sending letters to Kuppam village. Many letters have passed between them. Right? Letters are passed between the parties. Why? Because there's no any other way of communicating between these two places. There's no telephone in those days. There's no telegrams. There's no, maybe telegrams were there, but I mean like no WhatsApp, no messages, right? Nothing was there. So we have to use the formal way of sending letters passed between the parties. A voluminous correspondence grave with Jagan's father's harpooned methodically onto a long iron spike with a circular wooden stop at one end, by which system they had preserved their family correspondence from time immemorial. immemorial, right? So what is this? So all these letters that father sends to that Kuppam village and the girl's family, and the letters that girl's family sent them, were all piled up, were all just picked in a or gathered in a harpoon methodically. Now you see what is a harpoon, right? Harpoon is a kind of a instrument they use for whale hunting. Harpoon is a kind of a thing because the whale is a big animal. They use this kind of a spike harpoon, just like ankle-like shaped thing, just to. So here, what's the harpoon mean is, sometimes have you seen in some shops still it's their harpooning system. සමහර කඩවල දැකලා තියෙනවද ලී එක ගහපු කූරක් තියෙනවා. ඒක යකඩ කූරක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් කම්බි කූරක්. ඔය කම්බි කූරේ බිල් එහෙම දානවා දැකලා තියෙනවා. බිල් එහෙම දානවා. Sometimes I have rarely seen these things, right? Bill එකතු කරන්නේ එහෙමයි. ඒ bill ඒ කම්බිය පහලට දානවා. Then it gathers, right? So here it's the same way, right? That same technique is used to gather all these letters. So it's been from old days, all the letters, all the correspondence were gathered in this, right? So that's why it says like time immemorial. Immemorial means from the very past. Immemorial, can't remember, right? All the letters are gathered here in this harpoon shaped kind of collecting method, right? One evening, the bride's party arrived with huge brass trays covered with betel leaves. One sudden evening, the bride's party, the girl's party, arrived to Jagan's house with the huge brass trays covered with betel leaves, fruits, saffron, new clothes, silver bowl of fragrant sandal paste, a huge heap of sugar crystals on a silver plate, and a pair of silver lamps. So many things were brought in silver trays, right? Silver trays. Saffron, you know what saffron? Kahakil, right? And all right, new clothes, silver bowl, fragrant sandalwood paste was in that silver bowl, and a huge heap of sugar crystals, sugar, everything was brought to this house as a gesture of goodwill. A dozen priests was assembled in the hall. Now, in Jagan's house, there were like dozen priests, so many priests, like dozen, 12 like priests were there. A few neighbors and relatives had been invited, and Jagan was given a new dhoti and made to sit in the center of the assembly. Jagan with a new dhoti, a new dress, is sitting on the middle of this assembly now, the Jagan's house, Jagan's parental house, right? Assembly. They had unfolded a sheet of paper. They then unfold a sheet of paper on which they had previously spent a considerable time drafting the extract wedding notice, getting the names down correctly. Now they got this kind of a special paper where they have rewrite and drafted and re-corrected and made sure names are exactly spelled there, written there without any mistakes. Everything is clearly stated in this paper, sheet of paper, on which they have previously spent a considerable time drafting exact wedding notice. Now, what is this paper? It's the wedding notice. They have drafted it, means have carefully written it. If there are mistakes, they have omitted the mistakes, right? Proofread well and getting the names down correctly. The senior priest of the house is a gaunt, means a very thin, a kind of a bony, a scraggy person called is gaunt, right? Senior priest among the dozen of other priests is a very thin man, old man, stood up and read the notice aloud. His voice quivering. His voice is shaky, right? Even old man, his voice was shaky when he was reading this paper. Quivering with nervousness, he's little nervous. Because there's a big gathering, there are people listening. He's getting the whole attention now here. He's reading a wedding notice. It's important, everyone is looking at him. 1,000 eyes are just focused on him, right? It announced that Jagannath, now this is the notice, right? It is announced that Jagannath, son of so-and-so, was to marry Ambika, daughter of so-and-so, on the 10th of September, etc., etc. That's what told Jagan could hear. So we know the name of Jagan is Jagannath. is the correct name of Jagan, right? And Ambiga's wedding is announced on the 10th of the September here. The father of the bride handed this important document ceremoniously to Jagan's father. So the father of the bride gives this document paper ceremoniously in a kind of a ceremonial way, in a kind of a official way to the father of the father of Jagan, together with an envelope in which he had put the currency notes, half of the dowry in advance. Dowry is 5,000. Half of it is given in advance before the marriage is even settled. I mean, like marriage is take place. Half of it is given in advance, as if like a contract, right? It's like advance. The dowry is given in advance and gently suggested. If the girl's father, Ambika's father, gently suggested Jagan as father, please ask your elder son to count the cash. Uh, Ambika's father says, please count the cash, make sure the amount is correct. Jagan's father made some depreciating sounds. Depreciating means kind of discouraging sounds. Just like something like depreciating sound, as if like he's not interested in these things. But pass the envelope to the elder son for counting. But anyway, took the cash envelope and gave it to Jagan's elder brother for counting, who lost no time in performing the task and confirming. He started right immediately cash counting, put in the presence, right? He just counted the cash and confirming 2,500. It's okay. So that's the idea. Uh, it was immediately assured the amount is correct. The task of confirming 2,500. It was not necessary to count, said the Jagan's father gracefully. Oh, it was not necessary to count, father gracefully, but since you insisted on it, අපිට විශ්වාසයි අපිට ඕක මේ ගණන් කරන්න ඕනේ නෑ. ඉතින් ඔයා කිව්ව හින්දා තමයි අපි ගණන් කරේ, says Jagan's father as a reply to the girl's father. In money matters, it is best to be assured. How could I be sure that my counting was perfect? I always like to get cash counted again and again, said Jagan's father-in-law. Then he said, like, yeah, mistakes can happen, right? Even my part, there can be mistakes, there can be deficiencies, there can be small errors. So it's very good just to count cash over and over. Even I cash my count, I count my cash over and over again, right? Counting was, so that's how I make my counting, sure my counting is perfect, says the father, right? His father-in-law. So see the dialogues, right? So what does this dialogue show about these families, these people? Apparently, there's a kind of hypocrisy here, right? There's a kind of a dark side to this. It's like a business act in itself. It's not that pure. So that's what we have to understand. I always like to get cash counted again and again, said Jagan's father-in-law, at which everyone laughed as if it were a brilliant piece of humor. So when Jagan's, Ambika's father said, I like to even overcount cash, everyone laughed it. Then they all adjourned for the grand feast prepared by a company of expert cooks. Now after that, it's kind of confirmed now. The wedding announcement is made. Now they are having the feast, means the food time. Expert cooks have been accompanied here just to cook good. And the delicacies was now huge plantain leaves were spread out in the second court. Now they are all sitting down right in the ground. So huge plantain leaves, the banana leaves were spread. That's how their plates are banana leaves. Spread on the second court with silver tumblers. The cups are silver tumblers and bowls for each guest, and a dozen delicacies and side dishes in addition to heaps of softly cooked ivory-like rice. So rice and other delicacies, side dishes, so many things, so many varieties, assortments, right? Miscellaneous like miscellaneous dishes are here. So everything is served right accordingly. A pipe and a drum part is seated in the front party of the house. Yeah, sorry. A pipe and a drum part is seated in the front part of the house created enough din to make it known to the whole town that the marriage was being settled. Din is a kind of a loud, harsh, strident noise is called din. A loud noise is called din. You don't know, just underline it, write down the meaning. A loud noise is din. So a pipe and drum part in the front started its music, right, just to make sure well known to the neighborhood that the marriage has been settled. Just like like a DJ nowadays, right? I don't know, right? So it's like nowadays this is this music is there just to marriage to give the idea marriage has been settled. Uh, I mean, even in old days, right? Our marriage systems are the same. I mean, like lot of noise was there, lot of noise, lot of music, lot of drumming was associated with weddings. I mean, like if weddings doesn't have this element, what purpose does it serve, right? I mean, like after all, after all, why is this celebration? That's another important question to ask. I mean, like, why are these people celebrating the wedding? I mean, what is the idea of celebrating a wedding to this extent? Why can't they secretly marry or just silently marry? Maybe the idea, may be the idea, right? There can be different interpretations to this. But when the more the noise is there, the more the celebrations are there, the more the relatives gather there, the connection between two parties, a man and woman, is mostly crystallized or solidified. In other words, the knot becomes complicated, right? Because it's involved so many parties, so many people, so many relatives, so they can't easily break or just go separate way or divorce. Things like that are hard when these kind of celebrations take place as a kind of a way of again solidifying the act itself. Maybe that's one reason. There can be other reasons as well. Think about it, right? Made known to whole town, the marriage was being settled. The house had been brilliantly lit with numerous brass lamps as well as gas lamps, which shed an enormous amount of greenish illumination everywhere. Everywhere is greenish. Lot of brass lamps, lot of other kind of lamps, right? Gas lamps, brass lamps. Lot of light is there. Everything is green. Uh, Jagan felt overwhelmed by the celebration. Jagan was very happy. Jagan was flooded in a kind of emotions here, celebrations. He kept thinking, and now all these thoughts are coming to his head. All this for my marriage. All this is for me, right? Wow. How seriously they have taken it. No backing out now. Oh, right. How serious this is. No backing out now means can't go back now. Then nang marwela hamare. Then ඉතින් බෙරේ ගහන්න වෙනවා, right? Just like that's the idea. Out now. By the midnight train, the bride's party was seen off. They were taking the midnight train. By the midnight, this meeting was also over. They were going. The relatives left. When they were gone, Jagan's mother and her relations went in and lost no time in assessing the value of the clothes and silver left by them as presents. Now, what was happening? As soon as the relatives went, Ambika's parents and the father's party left, Jagan's party and mother and who else? Here, mother expressed like and went through what the presents they have brought, right? And they assessed means they kind of evaluated the presents. Are they valuable? Are there something important there? Things like that. They were assessing. They were going through the presents. The value of the clothes and the silver left by the parents. They were satisfied with the weight and design of the silverware. I mean, like all these silver things that left was good quality stuff and expensive stuff, and Jagan's party was happy about it. Mother expressed her utmost approval by telling Jagan, and mother said loudly, mother showed her approval, mother showed her likeness towards this party of father-in-law and said, Jagan, your father-in-law is not a mean sort. See how solid all the presents are? Hey, Jagan, බලන්න මේ තාත්තා බලන්න ඔයාගේ මේ අපි කියන්නේ මේ father in law, right? Is not a means of lowback නෙමෙයි. හොඳට වියදම් කරන සුද්දෙක් වගේ වියදම් කරන කෙනෙක්, right? That's the idea. Approval of telling Jagan, your father-in-law is not a mean sort. See how solid all the presents are. See how valuable the presents are. Jagan identify himself with them, felt personally complimented. So Jagan took this as a personal compliment. Means Jagan was happy about this compliment from the mother about his future father-in-law and Ambika and their family as well. So Jagan was taking pride, right? Compliment means a praise. The house wore an appearance of extraordinary activity as September approached. Now the September was approaching, and the house was really busy. And the extraordinary activity of September and activities gone rising, right? You know, when a wedding, a function comes, like how tense and intense situations become, right? So here, extraordinary activity in September approached. Jagan lost count of time. Like Jagan can't even just count the time. Time is passing so fast. His end of term examinations were over, and his father has permitted him to take time off college and assist the people at home. So his exams are over at this time. Maybe that's the reason they have planned it somewhere around September. So Jagan's exam is over. Term exams. It's not the final exam. Term exams are over. So father gave permission. Okay, join others and let them. You can also help in this activities. Uh, Mother went about saying, although we are the bridegroom's party, we cannot spare ourselves. There are things to do. So here you go. The mother went about saying, mother said, Jagan's mother said, right? Although we are the bridegroom's party, I mean, like, we are the groom's party, we are the boys' party, but still there are so many things to do. Even we are the boys' party. Imagine the activity the girls' party has to, the bride's party has to do. If the mother is saying something like this, imagine the work happening in the Kuppam village, right? Spare ourselves. There are things to do. Clothes has to be chosen for the bride and others. Yeah, they are the ones who have to buy clothes for the groom's party has to buy the clothes for the bride and others. For which for which purpose mother and her relations were to the Universal Sari Emporium and spent 8 hours at stretch examining gold borders, fabric, and hundred of saris. And this may be the biggest sari dealer in Malgudi. So the mother has to go right with her relatives, her relations went to Universal Sari Emporium, this big shop where they are displaying all this sari and they are checking the borders and Kanta Parsavya Sari Toran Giyama Thiyana Joliya, right? එක වචනින් විස්තර කරන්න බෑ. How long it takes? It takes like here in the case like 8 hours something, right? Hundred of saris, fabrics, and spent much time, strength examining 8 hours, right? 24 hours are per day and 8 hours are spent. So do the mathematics. What's the fraction here, right? Spending the sari shop, checking the borders, fabrics. මොනවද මේ හදලා තියෙන්නේ border එක කොහමද මේක හැඩද, just like imagine the situation, right? It's good when if boys are there, right? That's the lesson. One day you get married, and when you go shopping with your bride, right? One day you get to go. You have to get married. So once you get married, it will be a good experience. You'll remember me, right? That day it just told something like that. Oh, what a reality it is, right? Remember me that day, right? Okay, coming back to the text. Jagan spent much time at his tailor's shop measuring himself for silk shirts and a dark suit. So Jagan was in the tailor shop. In the tailor shop, measuring himself for silk shirts and a dark suit. Now he's measuring means taking the measurements and everything before this this costume, this suit is made. The tailor is taking measurements. So he's giving the measurements for what? Shirts and dark suit, silk shirt. His mother and others seemed to keen that the bridegroom should appear in a suit during the wedding procession. So it's the decision of the family, mother and mother and the others, that Jagan should wear a suit. Jagan should be handsome. Jagan should take this dressed in a suit. His mother and others seemed keen that bridegroom should appear in a suit during the wedding procession. Jagan would have preferred to be clad in his dhoti and jib. Jagan preferred the dhoti and jibba. Jagan is a simple man, right? අනේ මේ සෑහළු ඇඳුමක් දාලා වෙඩින් එකට ඉන්න තිබ්බනම් කොච්චර ෂෝක්ද කියලා ජේගන් හිතන්නේ නැති. යට ඇඳුම දෝතියයි ජිප් එකයි උඩ ගාලා just like simple. No, that doesn't work here. It has to be formal. But was forced by everyone to accept the tweed suit. Now, no. You are not approved to just wear dhoti. What rubbish idea is that? You have to definitely wear a tweed. Tweed means, write down, it's like a thick woolen fabric used for clothing made in Scotland, right? It's a very thick fabric. That's how coats, blazers are made. Like this kind of very expensive and a very good quality material, right? It's a tweed. So everyone has forced Jagan just to wear the suit. His elder brother was very vehement on the subject. Vehement means, write down, underline if you don't know, vehement. Marked by extreme intensity of emotions or convictions. He strongly holds the idea. He strongly sits for the idea that definitely Jagan has to wear a tweed suit. No any other costumes. It's no exceptions. Suit that andinna morning katha karanne epa, right? And vehemently on the subject, having himself gone through it all some years ago, because he also wore this tweed suit for his wedding, and he wanted his brother to wear the same and appear the same in the wedding. So he's very strict on it. He took the charge of the printing of invitation cards and ran between Truth Printing and their home and prepared an elaborate list of the addresses. So who's in charge of the printing invitations for the wedding? Brother is in charge of the printing invitations for the wedding, and he has to go between the Truth Printing. Truth Printing is old printing press then. Even from Jagan's father's time, it was there, right? So Nataraj should be there, and this printing was done by the Truth Printing. So the elder brother has to take care of all these things. Truth Printing and their home prepared an elaborate list of addresses. Means there are a lot of addresses, lot of lists of names where these invitations have to go. These are preparations, right? Father harassed everyone about the list. Father harassed everyone means like father is always troubling everyone about the list. They have a list now. Invitees, the people who are just to be invited to the wedding. Father is always troubling people with this list. Everyone about the list, asking if so and so had been included, and if not, to do it at once. His father is asking, is that person included? Sometimes he remembers the name suddenly. If so and so is included in the list, if not, just include that person's name in the list and invite them. Father is instructing, right? Has been included, and if not, do it at once. He woke them up at midnight to suggest a name just occurring to him. And when the people are tired and sleeping in the midnight, sometimes father comes and wake them up in the midnight. ඒ අර නම දැම්මද අරයාගේ නම නෑ නේද ඔකේ ලිස්ට් එකේ දාන නම just like wakes up and it's a kind of harassing, right? It's like people are tired sleeping. Imagine someone comes and wakes you up and says like, put that name in that list, to the invitation list, we have forgotten a name. That's father's duty, reminding everyone. He did not want any friend or relation remotely connected with Jagan to be overlooked. Overlooked means not taken into account is called overlooked. Mistaken is called overlooked. So father didn't want anyone to be left over. Everyone connected to Jagan had to attend Jagan's wedding. No one had ever suspected that father would be such a keen sender out of invitations or could collect or recollect so many names. Now no one thought before that, like how many names that father can remember, how many names that father suddenly came up with and just included in his list, and to the extent that how many names, although he was never sure, right, being keen to send out of invitations or collect so many names. Like this is father's duty, right? Recollecting all the names and pointing out all the names. Mama, all has to be included in this list, right? It's like a never-ending list, it seems. Um, so father is doing that thing, and everyone's surprised. Father's actions as well, and his capacity to remember these names and invitations or collect or recollect so many names, although he was never sure whether the name of the initials were correct. Sometimes the father is not sure about the initials of that person. He remember the name but not sure about the initials, right? Uh, Correct. Sometimes he knew a person only by a pet name. Sometimes the names are not even coming to father's head. He only can uh, recall per people by the names, right? Sometimes, yeah, we know even in our families we have, right? We have like angel, we have fairies, we have Suddha. Suddha ke nama දාගන්න ඕක list එකේ. But we have Suddha is not the real name of it, right? I mean, like it's a pen name. So you can't remember the name, the father can't remember the name, but anyway, he's including all the names, right? Whether so and so was living in that address or even whether he was alive at all. Now, sometimes the father is not even sure. සුද්ද ජීවතුන් අතර ඉන්නවද කියලා දන්නෙත් නැහැ සමහර වෙලාවට. සුද්ද මැරිලත් ඇති, right? ඒකට සුද්දගේ නමක් දානවා list එකට, and sometimes සුද්ද මෙතන තියෙන address එකේ නැතුවත් ඇති දැන්. I mean, like the connections has been lost for so long time, right? But still they want them that people even to attend to the wedding. Isn't that strange? Isn't that weird, right? Uh, and they send out 3,000 invitations. 3,000 invitations. Gosh, right? Think. 3,000 invitations. I mean, like your school. Sometimes the population in your entire school may be 3,500 or 4,000 students, right? If it's a small school, medium school, the population, I mean, like the student population is somewhere around 3,000. Punchi school right? Or just like a small village, you have like 3,000 people in a small village. It's like these wedding invitations nowadays, right? In a wedding invitation, what's the maximum? Maximum is 200, right? 200, 250. Very rarely 300. In Jagan's situation, 3,000 invitations. Think about it. The result was that an enormous crowd, a massive, humongous, colossal crowd turned up by every bus, train, and a vehicle and a wedding in the Kuppam village. I mean, they were traveled by bus, train, vehicle, and any other transport medium at the wedding of Kuppam village. නිකන් පොඩි දේශපාලන රැස්වීමක් වගේ තියෙනවා නේද, right? ඒවලටත් එහෙමනේ බස් වලින් එනවනේ කට්ටිය. දැන් කොළඹ තියෙනවා නම් දේශපාලන රැස්වීමක්, යාපනයේ ඉඳලා බස් වලින් එනවා, මඩකලපුවේ ඉඳලා බස් වලින් එනවා, මාතරේ ඉඳලා බස් වලින් එනවා, right? The same way 3,000 people were coming in different means of transportation, trains, buses, I don't know what, maybe bullock carts, over to the Kuppam village for the wedding day. It's a huge crowd. Jagan's whole time was spent in greeting the guests or prostrating himself at their feet if they were older relatives. So imagine Jagan has to be there and just greet every guest, right? Guest, that's Jagan's duty. He has to greet, he has to welcome them to the wedding. Or just prostrate means right down. Prostrate means go down, throw down flat. Throw down flat means you have to prostrate, go down sometimes. That's a Indian way of greeting. Imagine Jagan's situation. Greeting 3,000 people. Negative. More exercise wedding. Just like imagine 3,000 people he has to greet and say something. And some, if they are elder, just go down prostrate and just worship. Sapper Khani at the wedding, right? For older relatives. So that's a very humorous way of R.K. Narayan presenting the situation to us. Like we are all just, following in laughter, right? If we can just, Visualize this situation. How pathetic, and we feel sad for Jagan, right? Imagine your situation if you are there in front of like 3,000 crowd, right? And you have to greet these 3,000 people. What would be the situation here, right? Think about it.